morning. Do you have a will? Yes. Did you ever think about that? Drawing up a will? Have you gone to a lawyer and done that? Probably not. A lot of people, most people haven't done that. And you know something? You absolutely need to. So today, we will cover the reasons why you absolutely need to have a will. Having a will in Canada is crucial for several legal, financial, and personal reasons. So, this is my friend Paul. My name is Naresh. Welcome to Canada Now. You know, this will thing, I hardly ever have used to think about it until now, buddy. And now, you think about it, and a lot of people get to our age, which is 60 and that kind of thing, and you start thinking more about it. But should you start a will earlier?
Whenever things are mostly important in your life, or you have something to leave, or you say you have family, kids, then you should start a will. If you're 20, maybe not yet, but if you start having assets and you have family and stuff,
so what you're saying is
you should start a will for sure.
So once you start working full time, saving money and that kind of thing, you have car assets, then you probably should think about it.
Yes, because the stats roughly now in Canada are probably maybe 48% have a will. So it's low. It is a little bit higher when you're 55 and up, I believe. It's around 70-75% of people have a will, which is
good. Things are staring at you in the face.
Yeah.
Better do something, yes.
And right, because a will just, it's kind of like a roadmap to help lay everything out.
Right, yeah.
Because, some people may not care, they're gone.
Yeah.
But, it allows everything to be organized and in place and what your wishes are.
So today, with our first starting point, we'll cover why you should have a will. First one is control over your asset distribution.
Yeah. So, making sure whatever you own or whatever, who you want it to go with, family members, it's, any assets that you own.
So let's say, you have a big family, you have brothers, sisters, your own kids. So that becomes really important then, how you're going to distribute those assets. Right. Especially if you're having now in your 50s, 40s, 50s, assets are significant now, possibly. Stocks, bonds, and things like that. So you want to put out a good roadmap as to what goes to whom.
Right, yeah. So I have a will. We just updated it again 2 years ago. And I have 2 kids, so 50-50 are going to them.
Right.
But for now, like for investments and stuff like that, my wife is the beneficiary.
Right.
But as, in my will it states the kids will get everything if we both pass away. So
right.
It's very important to label so they know. It's like, okay. And I like to have that discussion while we're living, to let them know this is what you're getting. Yeah. This is what your mother and I planned.
Yeah.
And lay it out so they know. There's no surprises. So it's very important to
well, that's really good.
Yeah.
So the next point we'll look at is appointing an executor. Now, what is an executor, Paul?
It's someone that's basically just controls after you've gone and controls your wishes, your will, your state. Like, so they make sure everything is in order. So it's like,
for example, so if I set up an executor, you'll make sure, that amount that have assets distributed that I put in my will is how they will be distributed.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So it's just and you should speak to an executor who you wish. So
of course. Yeah. That's a surprise.
The surprise. No, legally you should be naming your executor, and they should know, and give them a copy of your will. So this is all part of the estate planning and stuff. So what they should know, what you have, what your wishes are. You should sit down with them, and just say, this is why. And some people have 2 executors, which is fine. It takes a little bit of the.
So they will have to work together to make sure.
But sometimes that could be because now you have 2.
Yeah. So
right. So now they could be.
So it might be better to have one.
Most have 1, but some have 2.
Yeah. So I mean, If you don't have, let's say you don't even have a will, and you don't have an executor, then you pass away, then the courts will take over that responsibility. Am I right?
Yes, yeah. So depending on the jurisdiction you live in, and you know, if you have unidentified beneficiaries, you know, it could come to higher probate costs. The other is, you know, you don't have control where things go.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it does go to your family members eventually, but it takes a longer time.
And it's somebody stranger doing that work.
Correct. Because then you got, you know, the courts. Okay, they'll see it. And if your spouse is around, obviously they'll go to them.
Yeah.
But it just takes longer and possibly more fees. So the impact is quite large on that. With a will, it's like you have somebody, an executor, a will. It's organized.
Right.
It can be done much more efficiently. So
you mentioned a word. Some people might not know. Probate. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's just it goes through the, you know, the courts and stuff, and probate. Fees. So you know, they get their probate fees and stuff. So you know, everything will go through. Not everything will go through probate. Like if you had a life insurance policy, that's given to you. So
okay, I see what you're saying. So our third point, I think, is really important, is guardianship of minor children. So if your kids are young, you know, if they're minors still, below 18, then you know, obviously somebody needs to look after them. So in a will, it's really important to put who is going to be looking, you know, especially if they're like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, these young ages, well, up to 18, it's all young age. Who's going to look after them, provide them directions in life, look after them for everything.
Yeah, so my parents had a will, and I was in the will going to my aunt and uncle. So they all knew that. That was the plan.
Right.
Obviously, it stopped when I got older.
My
mom still had. We made a joke because my mom still had that will. And I was in my 40s at the time. I said, "Do I still go if you go?"
Aunt and uncle's home. Yes.
I'll show up with my kids.
But, this is really important. Otherwise,
it is important.
What would happen is, if you didn't put that, have a will, and if you didn't have that, then the court decides where the kids will go.
Yes, the courts would decide. Again, they would probably...
It might not be what you want.
Yeah, it may not be what you want.
It could be the other aunt and uncle that, you know...
Yeah, possibly. So
that love to party too much.
Yeah. If you don't have a will, it just leaves it in just remember, it leaves it in somebody else's hands.
Yeah.
That's all.
Now, the next one is also important, and we've seen this on, you know, everybody watches TV, and so everybody knows about wills, avoiding family disputes. Mm-hmm. Now, think of what can happen. Think of what happens even when you do have wills, but think about it, what would happen if you didn't have a will. The kind of disputes that could break out between brother and sister, cousins, you know, all family members, especially if you have big family members, these things would, in a worst way, end up in court. Yeah,
when you have a larger estate too, it becomes, you know...
if you're worth millions,
Yeah, it's just... family just starts getting torn apart. So, you know, even if you had a will and you had everyone laid out, you know, some could contest it.
Some people still say, hey, I should get more. And they'll take it to court.
Yeah, they'll take it to court. But at least this is your wishes. The court would consider it like what you left this will. So that's why it is important. But disputes would be large.
Oh, I can well imagine. If you didn't have a will, you know, the siblings are going to fight each other, possibly. Some might not. Some will say, okay, 50-50 is fine. But some might say, hey, listen, I looked after mom and dad all these years. You didn't do anything, so I deserve more. Right. So you just don't know.
And when it comes to all the admin fees and stuff, your inheritance is less. So, you know, the will is important because if you leave it to someone else, the admin fees and all those fees become more, then your inheritance is less.
There you go. Yeah. So avoiding family disputes is very important. Tax planning and minimizing probate costs. So a well-structured will can help reduce taxes on your estate and potentially lower probate fees.
Yeah, this is-
leaving more for your beneficiaries.
Yeah, this is making sure. Just make sure you have, if you have investments, making sure you have beneficiaries on there.
Right,
Okay?
right,
So,
yeah.
you know, like a TFSA, for example.
Like if you
if
got
you
a
have
big
spouse-
RSP or TFSA,
Yeah.
that kind of thing,
Like
stocks
a
and
TFSA,
bonds.
if you name your spouse a successor,
Yeah.
it automatically rolls over to their TFSA.
Right.
So it just it makes things a lot easier when you have a beneficiary on your RSPs, your
Yeah.
TFSAs, you know, your investments that, and then label all that stuff in your will. And wills
Yeah.
aren't that complicated.
Yeah.
They don't have to be.
Yeah.
It's pretty structured. So, just and like you can just write something on a paper and sign it.
But
Like,
then again, people will fight that in court.
Yeah,
most likely.
most likely,
So it might
but
be worth.
it's
spending
always
a-
worth
yeah,
going
to a lawyer, spend a little bit of money, and get it done
exactly
properly.
get it done, and it doesn't take overly long. There's online kits.
Oh,
that
yeah,
you can
yeah,
do.
yeah.
Again, as long as you have something with your wishes, the courts can see and say
Yeah.
if it got contested or whatever.
Now, is it true that you know, some people get a call from another country, a lawyer? Hey, your aunt, uncle, you didn't know about, left you £1 million.
If you have to send them money first, then it's a
Then
fraud.
that's a fraud, right? That's
You
where we're
shouldn't
going.
have to send them anything. If someone left you something, you don't give them money. Yeah.
Now, if they say to you, "Hey, yeah, this is what's happened, but send us $5,000 first, and then
So
we'll
we can process it.
Yeah.
Negative.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No.
Because that's a popular fraud.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you have to pay something, so
Now, the next one that we look at, sometimes, you know, people have eclectic wishes. You know, in their mind, they want to give to causes. So providing for specific people or causes, you know, you can ensure that specific individuals or charitable organizations are included, which might not happen under default laws. Some people want to give a lot of money to their charities, or you know, to their alma mater, you know, whatever, University of Toronto, whatever. They want to leave, if they have lots of money, they want to leave money to that, or whatever the case may be. I remember a few years back, Paul, you know, going back probably 15, 20 years or something like that, a lady left enough money or bought a helicopter for the York, was it York or Durham Regional Police? And,
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was her wish
Oh.
to do that. And then she left them enough money to maintain it for
Oh.
years after.
oh wow.
Yeah. People all the time leave money to hospitals
Yeah.
and whatnot, you know, great causes or charity organizations. So if you don't put that in your will, then it's not going to happen.
Yeah, because they won't know.
Yeah.
They won't know, especially if you don't have any family members, you know, and you're maybe the last surviving person. You have no one to leave it to, and you want to leave it to a charity or whatever. Just make those wishes, right? Make a state.
You leaving money for your cat?
For my cat, yeah, he'll probably outlive me.
People do leave money for pets and leave everybody out.
Yes,
You know.
probably contested at that.
Yeah, yes, it
We'll
would
see.
be.
It'll go through the courts.
Now, if you have a big business worth, whether it's a small business or if it's a huge business worth millions of dollars, or it's a small business worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever, if you don't have a will, then you're really looking for trouble.
Yeah, like I said, this wills are just the planning.
Yeah.
It's part of the estate planning.
Yeah.
And just making sure everything is laid out.
Especially when you have a business.
Yeah.
Right? Who's that business going to go to? You know, I've seen that where 50% of the business goes here, 30% of the business goes to this person, 20% of the business, that kind of thing. If you don't have that, then, probably the province of Ontario will just step in and start distributing it. And you really don't want that if you have a business.
Right. And, just because you do a will, I'd like to at least update it every 5 years.
Okay.
For sure. Because unless something major happens, you want to keep updating it. But, once every 5 years, take a look at it, what's changed, because things can happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Things can happen, right? So just keep, like anything else, you don't just do it once and leave it. If you do a will in 40 and you live till 70, 80, that will is going to be used when you wrote it at 40.
Yeah.
So, you know, at 45, recheck
Yeah.
it. 50, check it. If life-changing things happen, check it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then keep it in a safe spot and make sure you know where it is, and you know, you keep referring to it. It should all be part of your estate stuff.
Yeah,
Where your
yeah.
investments are, your wills, all that stuff.
So I mean, when it's time to review, there's sometimes. I mean, I was looking, you know, researching this a little bit. There's times in your life when you should do that. For one would be, you know, if you're, you know, your family structure is changing in some way,
Yeah,
and
marriage
you should
or divorce. Yeah.
yeah, that's one
Yeah.
thing. If your financial position changes, for example, let's say all of a sudden you win a big lottery.
Yeah.
You may want to visit, you know, revisit your will and see where money should be going to, or that kind of thing. So, other one is death of a life partner, executor, or beneficiary.
Yeah, if they,
These are big things.
right. Yeah, then you gotta change it.
You got to change everything.
Yeah.
If you have an executor that passes away, then you have to get a new executor.
Yeah, because I don't think they'll be able to execute.
No, like, I don't know. Nowadays, anything is possible. After, if you acquire a lot more property, you acquire other businesses.
Yeah, so these are the
foreign
big
property.
changes that
Yeah.
you want when you're going to revisit or change your will, and make sure, you know, those things are in there. So that's why it's an ongoing process. It's not one and done. So just, you know, that's why keep it in a safe spot along with everything else. I have it with my tax stuff, my will, and all the stuff that my wife has to call. So she
Right.
has certain numbers. If I go, this is who you're calling. And it's all organized. So yeah, it's very important to make sure, because you don't know when your death is.
Coming, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Tragic
yeah.
accident, boom.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you can't come
Yeah,
back and say,
it
hey,
is
this
true.
is where everything is.
Yeah, here today, gone tomorrow.
Right.
Oh, wait, just I gotta point out my will before I, you know,
Yeah, I
not
can't
going
go yet.
just
Yeah.
Can't go. You know, so now another one is a change of province or country of residence, especially if you change country of residence. Let's say you move to, you know, somewhere in Europe. You know, laws may be a little bit different there. You know, so you may want to revisit your will in that point.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you have maybe a couple of your kids with you or something. You know, when these are big changes in life, and if that's the case, before you move, maybe go visit a lawyer. You know, or in the new country where you are, go see a lawyer over there and see if your will is still in full effect as it should be.
Yeah.
You know, it was drawn. Let's say if it's drawn up in Canada and you move to
It's whatever the
Australia.
last will was. Yeah. So
Yeah,
if
you
you
know.
did it 30 years ago, that's going to be the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No, because Australia may have different laws than Canada if you move to Australia. So just to
yeah.
get it checked doesn't hurt,
No.
right? Changes to legislation. Sometimes tax laws change. Inheritance laws change. You know, how people inherit your business or your money. So if that happens, so that's why you should revisit, like you said, every 5 years.
I always, you know, 5 years is good. If you want to do it earlier, that's fine. Or any major, like if your kids come into, if you're a couple and then you married for 5 years and then all of a sudden you have kids.
Yeah,
Then yeah, that's a major change. You want to get that organized so that they're looked after.
Yeah, families are, everything's always changing, right? Nothing's permanent always.
Correct. Yep.
So, you know, if you, in your mind, if you think something has changed to the point where you need to redistribute your assets, such as your kids have kids now, etc., that kind of thing. You know, if you have a brother and sister, they have kids. You know, so you may want to change things. You know, percentages, this, that.
And it's not redoing a whole will.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
adding amendments to it. That's all. It's, you don't have to change the whole will and then getting that, you know.
Or you've got a kid that's really pissed you off.
It happens. Some people,
happens.
you know.
You know, they end up doing something really bad, end up in jail. And
Some
you're like,
go in and out of the will constantly. Yeah, it just that becomes a lot of work. So.
yeah. So
You know.
yeah, you're absolutely right. You should. So this is one of the most important things you can do in your life, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't have a will, you know, you really don't want. It doesn't matter what province. You don't want the government stepping in and looking after your financial interests, because they may do it in a way that may not be best for taxes, may not be best for the people that you want to leave money for. So it doesn't cost. So what's the way to do wills? Like you said, you can
Oh.
go on online and do it.
Yeah,
too?
you can go online, search.
Yeah.
They have online will kits.
Yeah.
Maybe $40-$50.
Right.
You can. I always say if you know someone that just talk to your friends. Hey, have you done a will? Who'd you go through? You know,
Yeah.
word of mouth is great. You can just the internet's so great, and just say drafting a will
Yeah.
online in
Yeah.
your area. You can. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I've just done someone local in Burlington.
Right.
I had a lawyer, do it all for us.
Perfect. See, so you can just, just about everybody has access to Google.
Yeah.
Google a lawyer, who will do wills in your area. Call 2 or 3 of them.
And if you
see
have
what-
friends that have done it, and
Yeah.
they go with them, and
Yeah.
it's out there. Like I said, you can do the kit ones. It's way cheaper, but
But,
just make sure
again-
you're doing it right.
Yeah, that's the main thing, right?
And again,
It'll
you can
stand-
just stick it on a piece of paper and sign your name, whatever works.
May not
But-
stand up in court. Depends on what it is. If it's,
Yeah.
let's say, a couple who has one child, a son, adult son, whatever, everything will go to them, right? And if you're
Most
not,
likely.
if you don't have any other people who are going to be the beneficiaries, it's just one person, then it's easy to do a will, right? But if you have lots of beneficiaries, you have businesses, you have you're very well off, really rich. It's really important to do a will and make sure all your estate gets to how divided up the way you want it divided up.
Yeah.
These legal words don't come easy sometimes.
Yeah. No, it's always
Yeah,
good
yeah.
to have, if you go to the doctor for his specialty, you go to the dentist for their
That's
specialty.
it. Yeah,
you go,
yeah.
go to
You're not
massage
gonna-
for their specialty,
Yeah.
wherever you go.
You're not going to go to your doctor to do your taxes, right? So,
Right, so find
Yeah.
someone that specializes, and there's a lot of estate planning places out there as well.
Yeah.
So, and they will do it every year they will maintain your file. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
becomes a little more pricey. But if you're high net worth,
It may well be worth it then, yeah.
It'll be worth it they'll look after everything.
Yeah.
So they become your executor. So
Yeah.
they're estate planners. So
and when you're calling a lawyer, call 2 or 3, see what they charge, because it's important to save a little bit of money too. If one lawyer is charging $2,000, one's charging $1,200, hey, $800 in your pocket is better than somewhere else.
Yeah.
It all depends, right? So you can go talk to the lawyers, and say, hey, what's involved and this and that, and keep a copy of your will at all times. I think you should probably give a copy of the will to each kid if they're grown-up adults.
Yeah, so whoever, it's just so everyone is aware. So and it's things that people don't want to talk about, but that's what you need to have organized, right?
Yeah.
It's like, look, this is my plans, this
Yeah.
is our wishes,
Yeah.
here's where this is, hold on to this, and
Yeah.
if it's updated, continue.
Yeah.
But it's that open discussion. Hey, we're all going to go. So
Yeah.
you might, it's a conversation you got to have with family and make sure that it's organized. This is where things are going.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's a family decision, right? So my
Absolutely.
wife and I did everything, and my kids know where everything is, and they're getting 50-50 done.
There you go.
That's simple.
Yeah, individuals should always know, always ensure executors and beneficiaries either have a copy of the will or know where it is stored.
Yeah.
Additionally, it is important to keep your executor up to date whenever there's a change to your will to help avoid delays and prevent unnecessary confusion or stress when it comes time for them to fulfill their role.
Yeah, because that's important, the executor part, because my wife's the executor of me, and
Right.
then I'm the executor of my wife, and
Right.
then my eldest son is the executor if we both go.
Right,
So
yeah.
they're close, but you may have an executor that's not part of your family,
Right,
which
that's
is
true too,
or,
yeah.
or a distant part of your family,
yeah.
and you just want them to handle it because they're in that background, or they they're good planning.
Yes.
So that's why you may not be communicating with them all the time. So make sure, you've got them in the loop.
Absolutely. All right. So again, this is a really important topic to sit down with your partner and talk about and do it, and not just talk about, but do it. It's for your peace of mind. Knowing that your affairs are in order and your loved ones will be taken care of provides emotional relief and peace of mind. So please make sure you get this looked after.
Yes.
And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. We will answer them. Please like, subscribe, and share, and turn on your notifications. And thank you very much for joining us today. And
see you next time.
we will see you next time with some very interesting topics.
Okay.
Thank you.